What's going on, NBA fans? So in this video, we're going to be talking about the top 10 NBA players that could be traded prior to the start of the season. And before, or I should say after we filmed this video, Patrick Beverley was traded. He's included on this list. But in this video, I said the Lakers should trade for him. So that is why you should subscribe, because we're breaking down NBA trade rumors. Be sure to sub for NBA expert analysis here at Chat Sports. I am Will Scott. Welcome into this edition of NBA Now. We're going to be breaking down some NBA trade rumors. And for weeks, Kevin Durant had been the centerpiece in these trade rumors that we've been discussing here on Chat Sports. But the other day, earlier this week, we found out that a Kevin Durant trade, any potential trade, dead, because the Nets announced that the two sides have agreed to move forward together for the upcoming season. And Kevin Durant a few weeks ago met with Joe Tsai in London and told him, look, either trade me or fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, giving him an ultimatum. But those two met earlier this week. They decided that they're going to move forward with this season. And really, Kevin Durant couldn't do much on his front. He still has 4 years left on his contract. So the Nets are going to move forward with Kevin Durant and probably Kyrie Irving as well on the roster for this upcoming season. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 NBA players who could get traded before the start of the season. Kyrie Irving off this list. Kevin Durant off this list. However, still plenty of notable names that could be moved in the coming weeks. And if you want to see some blockbuster trades, hit the thumbs up icon, like this video. We haven't seen a big trade in a while. I know a lot of us are getting antsy. We want to see some action. Like this video if you want to see some trades go down in the near future. Let's begin with Kelly Olynyk coming in at number 10 on our list. Still a pretty solid player. Had a solid season with the Pistons, and the Pistons are in a position right now where they have a lot of young talent. So maybe it doesn't make sense to keep a veteran like Olynyk around. He had 9.1 points per game in 40 games with the Pistons last season. But when you're talking about Olynyk, I think it's important to look at the numbers he put up in Houston the year prior. I mean, in Houston, he looked like a superstar. 19 points per game, 8.4 assists per game, shot over 50% from three-point range. I mean, it was unbelievable what Kelly Olynyk was doing with the Houston Rockets after he was traded from Boston. He went to Houston, and obviously this was not a situation where he was going to re-sign with Houston. That's a team that's rebuilding, so he ultimately goes to Detroit, but he put up really solid numbers there. Not quite the same numbers in Detroit, but he's still a solid player. Here are some potential Olynyk fits. Could he go back to the Boston Celtics? That is certainly a possibility. The Celtics have been linked to him. The Bucks and the Heat as well. A couple contenders that might look into trading for Kelly Olynyk. More contenders might look into trading for Patrick Beverley. So, poor Patrick Beverley, man. The guy's been traded like 3 or 4 times in the last year. He's constantly on the move. Pretty good player for Minnesota last year, but they trade him to Utah in the Rudy Gobert trade. So, Patrick Beverley, currently a member of the Utah Jazz, but it's possible he will not play one game over there in Salt Lake City. He was asked about his status with the Jazz a few weeks back. Here's what he said. We'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. It's a lot going on right now. We'll see when the dust clears. Hopefully, Donovan Mitchell stays and the team is competitive. If that's the case, we're really excited. So basically what Patrick Beverley is saying is, if D-Mitch stays and we want to contend, then I want to play for the Jazz. If not, if we're blowing it up, get me out of here, trade me, because I want to play for a legit contender, which is why I think the best fit might be the Lakers. And did I just say contender and Lakers in the same sentence? Because I can understand why you'd be confused at that. But the Lakers are trying to be a contender again. Patrick Beverley would be the perfect fit. They need a dog defensively on that team. They need some heart. They need some fight. Patrick Beverley would make that Lakers team a lot better than they currently are. So where do you think he's going to play this season? Do you think he's going to play in Utah, type UTA? Do you think he's going to go to LA, type LAL, or somewhere else, type O? Down in the comments section, where's Pat Bev going to play the upcoming season? Eric Gordon is another name that could be moved. I cannot believe he is still a member of the Houston Rockets. He's been in trade rumors for probably the last 2 years, but the Rockets have hung on to him, and he's remained a pretty good shooter off the bench. 13.4 points per game, shot 41.2% from three last season, 47.5% in terms of his field goal percentage. So, look, the Rockets have held on to him, a little bit surprising, but apparently they want a first-round pick for Eric Gordon. That's something to monitor. Here are some potential Eric Gordon fits. The Dallas Mavericks lost Brunson. They could use some shooting depth to help out Luka. Both LA teams, the Lakers and the Clippers and the Bucks, couple contenders that might be interested in trading for Gordon. In fact, all four of those teams have been linked to Gordon, especially the Milwaukee Bucks, but it's going to take a first-round pick to get him. The Rockets had the opportunity to trade him at the deadline. They didn't because they did not get what they wanted. They wanted a first-round pick. They had the opportunity to trade him probably on draft night, but they did not want a second-round pick. They wanted a first-round pick for Eric Gordon. I want y'all to go check out Rumble because Rumble is providing unlimited and unfiltered and exclusive content. Rumble.com/NBA now. That's the link to go check out our Rumble page. More videos over there. Rumble is an up-and-coming video platform. Go check them out. Let's talk about Jordan Clarkson now. He's another guard that could be moved, and another member of the Utah Jazz, in addition to Patrick Beverley, that might get traded. And I really like Clarkson. I think he'd be a fit on a lot of contenders that are looking to add some shooting depth. 16 points per game, 2.5 assists per game. Struggled from three-point range last season, shot 42% from the floor. So Clarkson is certainly a trade candidate because no one on the Utah Jazz is safe. Danny Ainge just might be blowing it up out there in Utah. He might trade a couple different guys. Jordan Clarkson, I should say, one of those guys that might get traded here in the coming weeks. Moving on to John Collins. He comes in at number 6 on my list. John Collins, certainly one of the best players that could get traded here soon. Probably a pretty high percentage that he gets traded. And when I look at John Collins, a potential fit, could the Celtics be interested in John Collins? They have been a team linked to Collins throughout free agency, but I don't know if the Celtics have the tools to pull off that trade, not to mention it would be a salary cap nightmare when looking at that situation if Collins were to get shipped to Boston. Here are some other fits. The Nets, the Heat, the Blazers, and the Hornets could all be interested in trading for Collins. The Nets, the most recent team linked to the Atlanta Hawks star. Will John Collins be traded? Type Y for yes or type in for no. Down in the comment section, go down, predict it. Will John Collins be moved before the start of the season? Moving into my top 5. Jakob Poetl comes in at number 5 on my list, and the Spurs are going in a different direction for the first time in a long time. They're trying to rebuild. They already traded DeJounte Murray to Atlanta. Maybe Poetl could be the next starter that they moved, and he put up really, really solid numbers. 13.5 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, shot 61.8% from the floor. Very good defensively as well, and that's why I think he's really underrated. I know he's not really talked about as maybe being a top 10 center in the league, but he's really solid, and I think a lot of teams would be interested in trading for Jakob Poetl if he became available. Go down and subscribe to the channel for more NBA news and rumors. We're bringing you daily NBA videos. That's the sublink right there. Subscribe to Chat Sports on YouTube for more NBA news and NBA rumors. Moving on to number 4 on my list, that would be Myles Turner, one of a couple of Indiana Pacers guys that might be moved this offseason. They obviously traded Malcolm Brogdon to Boston. They're kind of looking to rebuild in Indiana as well, build around some young stars over there. So Turner has been in trade rumors all offseason. The Lakers are a potential fit. Myles Turner was asked about the trade rumors because this is not the first time he's been involved in those. This is my 5th offseason with trade rumors going on. He's going to land here. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I'm finally numb to it, in a sense. So Turner's saying he's just used to being in trade rumors at this point. Here's what he did last season. Pretty good player when you look at the numbers, but what really stands out is the 2.8 blocks per game. He is a very solid defender, and teams that are looking to add some depth add some defensive presence down low, might be interested in trading for Turner. Let's stick with the Indiana Pacers here because Buddy Hield also might get traded. Both of those guys have been in a lot of trade rumors recently, especially Buddy Hield. And even last year, Hield was in trade rumors. In fact, it was rumored that the Lakers have pulled off a trade for Buddy Hield from the Kings, and all of a sudden, that trade just falls apart, and the Lakers sign Russell Westbrook. So I'm sure the Lakers kind of look back on that and kind of, look back and like, what are we doing? But he was rumored to have been traded from the Kings to the Lakers last offseason. That didn't happen. He ultimately gets traded to the Pacers. Here is what he did with the Indiana Pacers and the Sacramento Kings last season. 15.6 points per game, 30.9 minutes per game, shot over 40% from the floor. Pretty good three-point shooter as well, 36.6% from three-point range. Go down and predict it. Will Hield and Turner get traded before the start of the 2022-2023 season? Type T for traded or type W for won't. Down in the comment section, go down, predict it. Moving on to number 2 on my list, that would be Russell Westbrook. He has obviously been someone that has been in a lot of trade rumors over there in LA. A lot of people wondering, could the Lakers look to move on? It was a disappointing season for the Lake Show last season. Westbrook has kind of been the scapegoat, right? A lot of people blaming Westbrook for how the Lakers season went. Here were the numbers last season for Russ. 18.5 points per game, 7.4 rebounds per game, 7.1 assists per game, and then he averaged 34.3 minutes per game. Westbrook could get traded. A lot of people thinking the Lakers want to move on from that project. Donovan Mitchell, clearly, by far, the number one target here on my list, number one trade candidate, by far the best player that has been in trade rumors when you take out Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. The Knicks and other teams very much remain interested in trading for Mitchell. Of course, the Knicks have been the number one team linked to Donovan Mitchell, as well as the Heat and some other teams. Let's take a look at the teams that are rumored to be in on Mitchell. The Nets have been a team linked to Mitchell, but I don't know what they have to give up for him. The Hornets, the Cavs, the Lakers, and the Wizards, other teams that have been linked. The Lakers, the most recent team. John Gamondoro, a host in Arizona Sports Radio, has been saying the Lakers might be interested. But is he going to be traded to the Knicks? Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no. Go down. Let me know if you think Donovan Mitchell is going home to New York.